All right. So I can never tell with YouTube if I'm live or not. I don't know if it starts the second I start streaming from OBS or if I start when like the picture shows up there, but I guess it doesn't matter. And also now I have to like pop out the chat later on, which kind of sucks. Okay, so in this stream, how did you get here so fast? Oh, I guess I said I was going to be streaming. So that's probably how. You're always here so fast though. But all right. In this stream, we're going to be talking about the new winbar feature. Let me ping the chat here. Ping me live now. Okay. So let me come up here. And let me show you what the winbar feature is here and what we're going to be looking at. Also, I'll be answering questions. You guys put stuff in chat. I'll answer it. I don't know how many people are going to be at work right now. But I have a bit of an international audience, so sometimes people are from like different areas of the world. So I don't know if everybody's at work right now, but I have the day off, so that's why I'm able to stream at 4. What's up, Mohammed? So this is what we're looking at here. So you can see, okay, this is what we're calling a status line down here. And this is what we're calling a winbar up here, right? So this is, I also have pretty bad allergies. But so now this is using the last status is equal to 3, which is also a relatively new feature. If that weren't the case, we'd have a status line like per window here. So like NVIM tree would have a status line, this window would have a status line, and this window would have a status line. But instead of that, now I have just one big status line. So one thing that was nice about having status lines like per window is you could just put like the file name under it, and then you could see like, okay, this is, you know, this is this file name, this is this file name, whatever. Especially if you don't have like a tab line up here to like tell you. So you can see this here is what we're calling a winbar. And this was actually a Vim feature. As far as I know, this has been in Vim for a while, and it's something that's just been ported over to Neovim. Like even in Vim, it's like clickable and you can do things with it. I don't know. In Neovim, I'm pretty sure you can't. But it just showed up. And so I thought it was pretty cool, and it reminded me of something I was able to do in VS Code when I used to use VS Code. I don't know if I have VS Codium installed, but let me see if I have. Yeah, I think I have Codium there. Okay. So you can see like, this is like some project that I was working on, some crypto project. Let's see if we just open up some file here. You can see, like this little bar up here where you can like click on different things. It'll like, I don't know. I mean, it's not gonna be clickable in Neovim, and that's okay. But you can see like if I click down here, or if I'm like in the file wherever, you can see like I'm on this const button, and it's inside the function add event listener, right? So winbar doesn't necessarily give you all this stuff, but it just reminded me of that. So I was like, let me see if I can implement something similar with winbar as this here. And honestly, I'm not sure. Like it's very possible that like I don't know where VS Code even got the idea for this, right? So like it might have even got it from Vim a while ago. So anyway, so that's basically what I'm going to be trying to do, is something not exactly like this. I already have it working, as you can see over here. It won't be exactly the same thing, but it'll be something similar. And I figured also it's kind of a good learning experience for people who are trying to figure out this new winbar thing and like kind of what they could do with it. Because I don't know what else you really would want to do with it. Maybe you just put the file name, but like what else would you put up here besides maybe some like tree sitter stuff, right? Which would be... which is what we're going to be doing. All right. Let's see. Got into programming, immediately went to your videos, landed a job, and wanted to try NVIM. You wouldn't believe my surprise when you said you also work at Comcast. Oh, you work at Comcast? That's cool. Yeah. A few people have reached out to me at Comcast, and they're like, hey, man, I saw your videos, and I looked you up in Slack, and you were there. A draft PR is there for clickable stuff? That's kind of cool. Winbar plus status line. Yeah. I like how, see, this is the kind of names I like, so that I know who you are. So like this is Guilfoyle from Chris's Discord server. It just makes things a lot easier because sometimes someone in the Discord server and I don't know who they are in my chat. But yeah, all right, so let's get started here. Let me show you what I have before because I don't have the newer thing yet. So we'll just open up a file. You can see it's not there. And you can see what I do have is I'm going to open up LSP. Also, you'll notice, see this? Like this highlight? I'm on like a brand new version and it looks like whatever's doing the highlight, it's like a float border or something like that. I don't know. I forget what's doing it. But whatever's doing the highlighting here seems to be like inverted. And I fixed that. When I update it, it'll be fixed. But yeah, anyway. So let's head over to handlers. And now you can see down here where I used to have this context, right? And this is coming from a plugin called Neovim GPS, is I used to put it in my status line down there at the bottom. So you can see like, okay, if we look here, okay, I'm in M, right? And then I'm in a function called setup, right? And so you can see M, and then you can see setup. And then like if I move down, now we're in the signs object, right? So now I'm in the signs object. So you can see M, setup, signs, like that. And basically what I want is to take this, and I want to put that up here, like at the top of every single file, right? So that's the idea. Now, to do that, I guess I just wanted to show you the way I had it working before, and now let's go update everything. So I should have all the updates already there. So if I get pull here, okay, and we'll start it up. Hopefully nothing just breaks out of the gate. All right, let's update because I'm gonna need my version of winbar, and you can already see up there. You see the init.lua file name's already there. Some potential breaking change in some plugin I'm not even sure I'm using anymore. All right, so here we go. So now this file doesn't really have anything like that. So you can see, all right, we don't have the thing in the status line anymore, and now you can see we have the winbar up there. So let's open up. We'll do LSP again because there's a lot of nested things in LSP. We'll go in here. Okay, and there you go. So you see how it like updates like automatically, right? So that's pretty cool. Like if I move in and out, it like does it on cursor move. So that's an auto command, and if you don't know how auto commands work, I'll be explaining that as I kind of go through this. But yeah, so we have the name of the file, and then as we move down, okay, now I'm in the M context because the setup function belongs to the M object. And then as I move down, the signs object lives inside of the setup function. And I don't think we can get any more specific on that in here. Let's keep going down. Now we're in this config one inside setup. Okay. And you can just see how the context kind of shifts, right? Okay. And if like I break out of it, like I'm not in any context anymore, there you go, right? All right, so that's that. So like how did I implement it? I probably didn't implement it in the most intelligent way. This is kind of like a pretty rough draft. If anyone comes up with anything better or can do improvements on the way I did it, then, I welcome it. I did draw a little bit of inspiration, and I learned how to like highlight, like you can see like I'm highlighting that box there, and I'm highlighting the file icon or whatever. I got that inspiration from, I think it was a Reddit post from this guy, and he's one of the many people with a Neovim distribution at this point. Me included, I have one too, but and I went digging through because he did the Reddit post on the winbar thing where I first saw this, and he had I don't know, I just learned how to like highlight little pieces of characters like inside of strings or whatever. I didn't know you could do that in Vim before. It was news to me, but I'll show you how to do that too. Let's see. So we're looking for let's think about all the places where this kind of starts. Okay, so in my init.lua, all I'm doing is, it's like simple. It's like everything else for the most part. Let's see. It was Max. Is Max in the server? Because that's where I learned that thing from, and that's where I got like the inspiration to do this. I looked at his code too, and he didn't have he didn't have the like he didn't have that code posted the way that he did this. Okay, everyone knows who Max is. I don't know who Max is. But yeah. His name was like M and then like a bunch of numbers. Oh, he's in the Discord. I'll have to thank him. What's his name in the Discord? So, but yeah, I didn't see the code. Like he had some code in there to do something different. I don't know. Like he showed this working in Reddit, but then he didn't show like the code wasn't on his GitHub repo. Some of it was, but not all of it. Yeah, Max like 397 something. Okay, yeah, that's what it is on his GitHub too. All right. So anyway. So we're just requiring one new file here for winbar. And the other thing we're going to do before we even get started is I'm adding an auto command. So you can see like recently I went and shifted pretty much all of my auto commands to the new syntax. And this is that here. So some of this stuff is a little like complicated. Maybe I should do it like kind of from scratch. I don't know, but you know, I'm kind of just showing it working. So you can go through the code later at your leisure, right? It's posted up on my GitHub. So, but anyway, we have local function has value. This is just some function I'm using to test if like I don't want the winbar on certain file types. So like for instance, I don't want to see the winbar inside of Envim tray. If I don't add that, then like if I comment this out, right, and then I come back in here, I'll reopen this config, whatever. Now you can see the winbar shows up at Envim tree, and I don't want that, right? So this is just a list that I have that says, you know, don't do that. Let's see. So I'm saying like, okay, winbar is equal to nil if the local file type, which is this BO file type, is equal to anything inside of this table. All right. Then I have two functions, one for GPS and one for file name. And Vim has that. Oh. Well, I didn't know it had that, so I can probably get rid of this function. See, this is why I like to program. I like to program live and with an audience, because some people I think would be like maybe embarrassed or something, but I'm like just awesome. Like, great, I get to do things better. So what do we got here? Vim.table contains table and item. So it's basically the same exact function, it looks like. So let's toss this has value. And then we'll come down here, and instead of doing has value, we'll do vim.tbl. Also, I learned that I can put this what is this? Like a border around my completion, and I really like that too. I didn't know that was a thing in Compy until like recently. Vim.tbl or underscore contains, and then what is a table and item? Okay, let's check that out. Did it work? It worked. Awesome. I like when it works too on the first try. Learn most things from you. Well, I mean, look, at a certain point, like, you know, it's why it's nice to just have a community of people who are willing to share ideas and stuff like that, because it just makes everything better, you know. Awesome. So got rid of a ton of code there. Now what we have here is just Vim table contains any of these things in this table here that I don't want. If it's on that file type, then just don't put the winbar there, right? That's the idea. And the way I'm setting it is vim opt local winbar, right? So if I just set opt, I think it would set it like everywhere or something like that. I think opt local will just keep it local to either the buffer or the window, probably the window. I'm pretty sure opt screwed something up. I'm pretty sure opt local is, I know that it works. It's working for me right now. So let's see. So now, if it's any of those, you know, just set it to nil and then return from the function and don't do anything. Now, let's see. Now we have value is equal to GPS. And if the GPS didn't work, just give me the file name. That's the idea right now. What I probably should be doing, again, I just slapped this together last night. What I probably should be doing is like almost the opposite. Like put the file name there first and then tack on the GPS. That's what I should be doing, but whatever. It's not a big deal. So now what I'm doing is, okay, do the GPS thing, and the GPS is like, okay, give me the file name, and then like any tree sitter context that I'm in, right? And if that's not the case, if that returns nil, like it's screwed up, GPS wasn't available for that file, whatever it might be. I don't know if you guys can hear the rain, but it's raining here. It's always raining here when I'm streaming, and it's always loud rain on this moonroof thing that I have. But let's see. So now we're going to do if value equals nil, then just give me the file name. Okay? And then at the end of that, after we set the value, we just say vim.oplocal winbar is equal to value. So it's either going to be the file name or it's going to be the GPS, which is like, you know, callback. Right now I'm in a function called callback, right? All right. Now, when do we update this? So like, how does it know, like, you can see up here, like, as I move around, like, I'll be in different contexts. Like, right now, I'm just in the file. Now I'm in a function called callback. Now I'm inside of the file, inside of a function called callback, inside of an object called winbar file type exclude, right? So that's this here. So it's like, how does that know to update all of that stuff? And these are our events for this auto command to fire on. So whenever my cursor moves, it's running this function. Whenever I enter a new buffer, it runs the function. And then also whenever I write a new file, and I'll show you that. Rain's nice. I can turn off my background YouTube rain tab. Yeah. Yeah. I for a while in my streams I was like playing rain just because I was so frustrated with writing some code. I was like, I need tranquil sounds to listen to. But anyway, so yeah, so these are the three events that I want this function to fire on. This one's a little bit weird, and let me quickly explain why I have the buff file post, right? So let's come down to this README here. So you see for the README, I'm never going to get like a context. It's not available for this. We don't have like a tree setter for this. But you can see up here right now it's a .md file. That's the name of the file. So if I come over here and I rename the file, and I just rename it to like README, you can see how the buff file post, when I write to it, it changes, right? And now if I come back over here again and I put back .md, it'll update and change it again there. Now, that wouldn't do that unless I had that event there. It wouldn't actually update. So that's pretty cool. Now let's, back to auto commands. Okay, so this is our auto command, and these are our functions. In the future, I'm going to do this file name function first, and then I'm just going to tack on the GPS stuff, I think. But again, this is how I have it for now. Let's look at the regular file name thing, like just the regular function that I have here for a file name. It's kind of an annoying function, but it's, you know, it's not super complicated. And it's got these weird highlight group things that I didn't know was like a thing. But yeah, so let's go through this. This function here, all we're doing is we're getting the name of the current file. So like for instance, if I do lua print vim.fn.expand, and I think there's a better, I don't know if there's a better function to use than this, because I know most people don't want to use .fn, but you know, this is what I knew worked. Now if I do that, expected probably this. You can see that it gives me, okay, home.chris.config mvim lua user winbar.lua. And so then I just match to grab the last, like the not the stem, like the leaf of the file path. So I just grab winbar.lua. So that's what this regex here does. And so then I have the file name. Now after I get that, I also use, let's see here, I use nvib web dev icons. Oh, does that just give me that? Okay, see, this is, how do you learn all this trivia? Like, I feel like, I know that I could do like help and then the thing, but I don't know, I never pay attention. So let's do that and update that and see if that works. So, oh yeah, we could just do, what is it, that there? Okay, we don't need the regex. All right, so that makes that easier. Now, okay, I think you're gonna need the regex for this next part. P, I don't think P works. P, I tried. I didn't know about T. Let me see. Oh, whoops, I didn't put P. Yeah, see, P gives me the whole file path. I tried P, and I didn't know T was a thing. RT, there we go. So okay, that simplifies that a little bit. Now here, I grab the extension of the file name, right? I could probably do this more in kind of a one-liner, but whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe not, actually, because sometimes the extension won't exist. Now, I'm just going to say, all right, if the file name's not empty, then give me the extension, and the extension is just going to be some other regex just to grab the .lua or .whatever off the end. So that just gives me this piece right here, right? We could probably, nah, I'm not gonna show that part. A little bit more code here just to, let's see. No way, that'll give you the extension too? You could have saved me so much work. Why weren't you here last night as I was screwing around with this? There you go. All right. So, okay, this right here, but okay, so say you do get that, but what if the file name is null? I'll have to check that out later. I'll probably replace it with that, but yeah, okay, so I'll be able to get rid of this regex as well in the future though. All right, so now you have the Lua thing, you can do all this stuff. It's 2 a.m. in the morning here. Okay, yeah. Well, it was 2 a.m. in the morning when I was working on this last night. So, let's see. Now, also that's good because now I can get rid of this G sub, which just takes the dot off and just replaces it with nothing. So I'm going to be able to get rid of probably like all this chunk of code as well now too. Anyway, after doing that, it doesn't really matter how you get these things, but you get the extension and you got the file name. And then this default thing just basically says like, okay, give me some default icon and color if, and this is like the icon that you can see up here, like this little moon thing for Lua or JS for JavaScript or whatever it is, or a cup of coffee for Java. But, you know, it basically what this is doing is it's giving me an icon from web dev icons and the color as well. The next thing I do is I just create some like nonsense highlight group here. I couldn't think of a better way to do this, but maybe Guilfoyle will think of a better way to do this. But I couldn't think of a better way to do this, so I was just like, all right, give me a highlight group for this, and then that was my door there. It was a very squeaky door. But give me some highlight group, and it'll be called file icon color, and just tack on the extension, whatever it is. So this would be, if it was a Lua file that came in here, it would be file icon color Lua, whatever, right? So that way they don't collide. That was my thinking with that. Then create a highlight group here, where the foreground color is the color that I got back for the web dev icon. And then we just construct some string here. So the thing that I can do here, well, the first thing you'll see is like I just put a little space there, like that's all that is right there. Concatenate that with, this is kind of like inlining a highlight group. So what you'll do is you just put this before some character or string or whatever, and it'll turn that string into a different color. That's kind of the idea, I guess. Then you just close it with a %. So you'll say like for instance, if I'm not like creating my own highlight group there, what I could do is I could do like, I don't know, what's a highlight group? Like normal or whatever, right? So I could say, this is how you would read this chunk. You would read it like, okay, give the normal highlight group to the file icon, all right, and stop there. And if I didn't stop it there, it would just continue to give that highlight group to more things in the string. So we're going to bring that back. Okay, so that's how I'm coloring the file icon, or this little moon up here, right? Next thing, just put a space, and then it's the same exact thing here, which is then just give me the file name with the highlight group for line NR. It's just like a highlight group. And you can get all your highlight groups if you just do, I think it's just high. And you can kind of look through your highlight groups here just to see like what might be appropriate for whatever you want, right? So you can kind of go through here, and basically the XXX that you can see here is like what that highlight group looks like. So like for instance, match paren will be this color with an underline without a background or something like that. All right. Okay, so that's basically getting our file name, right? So if I didn't have any of the GPS stuff, if you just wanted the file name, you could basically do that. And let's see, if we go back to auto commands, like if I get rid of the GPS and comment all that out, right? And now, because I think this is what most people want it for. So now what we'll do is I'll just open up like another file here, and then I'll do a V split. Okay. And now you can see as I move over to different files or whatever, now you can see like just in the top left here, the name of the file. Especially it's useful if you don't have, like if I toggle off the tab line there and imagine I don't have that, it's just kind of nice to see what file you're in, especially before where the status line would be able to tell you that. But now we have the status line set to be global so that it's not like, you know, one big blocky status line per window here. All right, so this is what I think is useful for most people. And if you just kind of wanted to stop there, you could stop there, and then you would be able to get the file name, and you wouldn't really have to do much else. The other thing you'd be able to do too is you wouldn't have to fire this auto command on cursor move. You could just do this for buff file post, and then also you could fire the auto command for buff win enter. Do I know how to require sync? No, I don't know. What would that be useful for? I've never used it for anything. But yeah, so you could basically stop there, and then you don't need to do anything else. All right. Now let's go take a look at. Let's add this back in, and let's take a look at the GPS stuff. Okay. So now, let me close this window over here. So now we just have a function to add the GPS stuff on. And adding the GPS stuff on is actually pretty simple for the most part. I'm just getting the plugin. I'm just loading it up here, this GPS plugin. Let's go actually look it up really fast so you know what I'm talking about. You just type in Neovim GPS. It's under Smitesh P here. And I actually have a PR out now for changing the text colors. So like you can see... like there's no way with the plugin right now to change these text colors up here. But with my addition, what you can do is you can just pass like a highlight group, and then it'll change it. So you can pass like the highlight group and make it, you know, darker if you want it to be darker here, or you can make it a color if you want it to be any color. It doesn't matter, right? You can choose. But over here, it's just always going to be, I think, like just the normal highlight group. I think that's what it'll default to. All right. But anyway, so what Neovim GPS gives you is, let's see here. You can see that that's that stuff there. If we kind of zoom in, well, I guess this is about as zoomed in as we can get. You can see it's like my struct, and then like an arrow, and then the little box there, and then some, right? So now if we come back over here, whoops, let's make this big. Okay. And we'll just open up LSP again. And handlers. And you can see it's like the same thing, right? So that's what's actually being shown up there is Neovim GPS. Came in late. Is winbar similar to Neovim GPS? No, winbar is more similar to the status line, right? It's like a container for where you can put things. But the status line now is just global, so the editor just has a status line. That's it, right? Like if you set last status to 3, if you set last status to 2, then it'll be per window. And I can quickly actually show that to you, so we can look for options. And actually, no, I could just set it. So we could do lua vim.op.status. I think it's status line. Or no, it's last status. Is it last status? 1 second, let's go find out. last status. Vim.op.last. I don't know why it's not giving me a thing here. It's equal to 2. Yeah, okay, there you go. So you can see now I have a status, like my status line left here, like it doesn't exist here anymore, and now, well, it kind of does, but like, you know, it's like non-focused, and now the bulk of my status line and all of the stuff jumped into MVim tree, right? And then if it's the same thing, like if I do a split here, and then I do like just jump over to a different kind of file, what people would usually do is they would have like the file name in the status line here, right? Instead of doing that, that's what we have this winbar thing up here. Now, yeah, and let's see. Let me go through some of these chats. So this is basically, it's more akin to a container for somewhere you can put data, same for your status line. Metadata about your files and things like that. So let me set this back again. Let's do vim.opt set last status to 3, and now you can see it's just here. It doesn't, like, there's not like one, and there's just like a normal split here now, right? There's not like a status line per window. And if you want to leave it that way, like if you don't want to use the new winbar thing, like you don't have to use the new winbar thing. If you liked the last status equals to 2, like you can still have that. It's no thing, right? So hopefully that explains. Hopefully that helps. Hey Leonard, what distro OS is this? I think it's Arch Linux. So yeah, I don't think I'm running anything but Arch Linux on any of my machines right now. I think I have like a thing, Neo Fetch or something like that. There you go. That's my machine, all the specs, all the things. People ask me this question pretty often, so there you go. Wait, it knows your current scope position. Is it using tree sitter? Yeah, so the thing that we're putting in there, that uses tree sitter. And the thing that's using tree sitter is MVim GPS. So this is a plugin over here called MVim GPS, and you can see it has queries. These queries are for all the programming languages that it supports. These are tree sitter queries. So you can see like, okay, it'll support C, C++, Lua, JSX, so on and so forth, right? So that's what this supports. I don't use ST anymore. There's a reason that I stopped using ST. I forget why. ST did something that bothered me, and I forget what it was. There was some feature somewhere. I just, if I remember, I'll let you know. I'll probably go back to ST, but there's a couple quirks I'd like to work out in it right now. And right now, unfortunately, Kitty, as bloated as it is, it really has it just has like basic features that just work, right? But it also has a little bit of telemetry that's not good, and I'm not. But anyway, this isn't a video about terminal emulators, so maybe another time I'll go through all the different terminal emulators that exist. But so let's see if we can explain this stuff, because this is pretty complicated, I think, for some people. But yeah, so winbar, just a container. MVim GPS, which is a layer on top of tree sitter that will give you a string that looks like this. And so what I'm trying to do is take that string and put it up in the winbar, right? That's the idea. That's what we're doing with MVim GPS. And that's how everything fits together. If you can find a different plugin that gives you something like this, you don't have to use MVim GPS. Like I showed you earlier, you can just put the file name if you want it. You could put anything you want up there. If you could think of something really interesting to put up there, you could do it. You could put diagnostics up there, right? Like you could put like, you could see like this here, like how I have like, how many errors and how many warnings. You could put errors and warnings up there if you wanted to. You could put any metadata about the file that you want, or diagnostics, or LSP related stuff, or who knows, right? You can get real creative with it. This is just the first thing I thought to do, and I figured it would be useful for people to kind of screw around with. Let's see. So, okay. Yeah, Alacrity, they don't support ligatures, and I like ligatures. Alacrity slowed down your computer and caused crashes. Well, I know that it's It's GPU. It uses the GPU or something like that. It's GPU accelerated. I don't really know how that's super helpful anyway. I don't know. But I've never, like, okay, I'll say this. Like, it's super minutia details that I have problems with terminal emulators. It's not like I've never used one and I'm like, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean? This one's horrible. Like, they're all just about the same. It's just Kitty just covers pretty much all the bases that I care about. Except for the fact that it does telemetry collection, which really makes me dislike them a lot and is the reason I'm going to stop using it in the future. Virus daughter, hello. Okay, so we went over this. I'm getting sidetracked. This is what it gives you. We went over that. Okay, so how do we get it in there? That's what I'm going to do now. Or I'm going to explain now. It's already there. You can see it's already working. So now let's go to winbar again. Whoops. Put it on A. And actually, let's just quit out of that. Close the tree there. And this also kind of, like, if you use this, I think you can, I've been experimenting with just getting rid of my buffer line entirely. And the reason is like the buffer line to me is really cluttered. And I guess it's clickable, but I don't ever click it, right? And I guess it like tells you like what file you're on, but so does this now. I guess the only thing this thing can provide is the context of like a few different files, like maybe tops like 5 files that are open, right? Maybe more if like I, do this, like maybe I could fit like 10 in there if I made the text sufficiently small. But yeah, I've just been kind of experimenting with like the fact that like, do I even need that, right? And I can kind of reclaim a little bit of real estate there and just get that here. And then I can use this plugin here, which just shows me all the buffers that are open. So I can just open up a little floating window with all the buffers that I have open. And then if I want to like close some, for instance, I'll just press D, D, D. Okay, and now the last one that's open is winbar, and I'm good to go, right? And so now that's it. And then like if I go and open up another file, like handlers.lua here, right? I can move through it like this. I don't know, I kind of like this, right? And then like it's like, I don't really care, like that cluttered buffer stuff up there, it's kind of just stressful for me. Like it just gives me a little bit of anxiety. So now I can just have them all here, and then it's like, oh, okay, maybe you start to get like 30 buffers open, right? Then you can just press D on them and just get rid of them, and that's it. So I've been experimenting with that. I might just leave it like that for the rest of this video. Why not display the buffers in the status line? It's Santiago over here. Because it's only so big, right? Like I already have, I don't really like a lot of extra data being thrown at me when I'm writing code anyway. I think this is useful here. Let me show you why this is useful. So, someone always wants to FUD me on like why something is or isn't useful. It's like, oh, why do you even need that? And it's just like, well, let me show you why. I work at a company at Comcast, and sometimes I'll be dealing with a lot of Java code. And some people's functions, and Java is a very verbose language, but some people also, on top of Java being a very verbose language, the culture around it is sometimes just to like write massive functions. Like I've been in functions that are like hundreds of lines long. And so like I could be in the middle of some function, like, okay, there's some code here, whatever, some code here. And then I've just lost the plot. Like, I don't know what function I'm in anymore, right? Like, I'm somewhere in the middle, and I'm, like, just jumping in between this function, especially when you're going to definition, right? And so, like, say this is some function, and I GD on it, and then I'm like, well, where the hell am I now, right? Like, I don't even know what context I'm in anymore. Like, this is nice because I can be like, okay, well, I'm in this file. I'm under some object, and then I'm in this function still. Like without having to see that I'm in this function still. It's also useful for things like Python that don't have like brackets, which kind of show you, and you're just relying on like indentation levels, right? So that's also kind of nice. So you can know what context you're in when you're in a function that's hundreds of lines long. So yeah, What's the buffer plugin? I use Bufferline. Where did you get that buffers window? The buffers window is from a plugin called Jabs, but this one is my fork of Jabs. This one cuts back some of the extra cruft and lines and things, and also it highlights the one you're on instead of the one you can swap to, like with Control. I think it's Control 6 or something like that, or yeah, I think that's what it is. So this is like my fork of Jabs. It's JABS, Vim Jabs, just another buffer switcher, I think is what it stands for. Yeah, that's what that is. Same issue I have with YAML LS. What, like that? Maybe this will be able to help with. Is this LunarVim or your own config? This is my own config, but it's got like pieces that I've used from LunarVim, and it has some stuff that I might backfill to LunarVim soon. Like, I think this is pretty useful. I don't know. I'd have to ask Hatsu if he wants something like this in LunarVim, but I think it might be cool to add. But yeah. So let's now that I've rationalized like why this is useful, let's talk about how to actually get it to work. So finally getting back to that. Let's jump down to, I think it's just called GPS. Yeah. So now let's see. This is basically it right here. I'd love to have a pop-up like that buffer list for context recently visited methods. I wonder, well, I guess you can get like the jump list, but that's not super helpful. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know if like you could like save tree sitter text objects that are marked with method, and then you could save them all somewhere. But yeah, I actually like that idea. I think that'd be a really cool idea. Looks good. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. If I is less than 8. I might be missing something here. But, all right, so now this is kind of the simple thing here. We just check if GPS is available. If it's not available, then it just returns. It returns nil. And if it returns nil, then like I showed you earlier, it just gives you the file name. So when this returns, like either here because GPS isn't loaded for whatever stupid reason, or this here, it'll just return if GPS isn't available. That'll be nil, and then all of this won't be here, and you'll just see winbar.lua. Now we got this here, so this is I just called it retval out of laziness. I probably should have called this something different, like file name or whatever, file, or I don't know. We probably could just change that file name. Yeah. Okay. So now we get the file name, and that's from the function that we had up here that got the file name earlier. So I went over that already. So now we got the file name. If the GPS location is error, then I think we should just return like that. I think that's probably better instead of returning something different for when things don't work out. And now it says, all right, if is not empty GPS location, then tack that onto the file name, right? So if it's not empty, then what I want you to do is I want you to put the chevron right icon here, and that icon, I have like a whole file for icons. You could just you could like, instead of just putting that there, you could just put that, right? But I get mine from icons, and that's because I have these icons here, which are from the Code Icons font, and which I have with this here. So I have all these fonts available. Actually, this one, the non-icons, I tried to use that, didn't work out for me. I don't know why I have this one here. I guess that's just for emojis and stuff like that. But the Code Icon font is where I get all of like the font symbols that look like VS Code symbols, so I don't have to like get bootlegged ones out of what is it called? What are they called? Nerd icons or nerd fonts or whatever. So I just use the ones that are actually there and available. Now, I use Chevron right, and this is Chevron right on, I think, there's one from Mac, and then there's the regular. Yeah, this is the regular one. If I'm on a Mac, I use the nerd font icons, and if I'm on Linux, then I use the actual code icons. Which, yeah. So, okay. Now, that is me just getting an icon. Again, you could just put the right angle symbol there if you want to. And then we have GPS location after that. And the GPS location is all this kind of stuff right here, right? Like it's just this stuff. Which also uses that Chevron right thing inside of it. But it is this whole chunk right here. It's like M, the symbol, M, and then this, and then the symbol, and then GPS. If it wasn't there, if there was no GPS location, just return the file name. All right, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we have to do to get this to work. I went through it kind of fast, but that's because I'm assuming someone's gonna like write this way better than I wrote it anyway somewhere, and then I'm just gonna like install it, and it's just gonna work simply. Now this looks 99% like VS Code. Well, VS Code was the first editor that I ever used like seriously in my programming career, right? Like so when I like first IDE. So I've been using Vim since I got started in college, and then when I went to go program like professionally, I guess at Lockheed and like enterprise corporations, like having something that just worked out of the box with LSP and things like that I didn't have to configure, and because also like I had a Vim configuration and all, right, but like I didn't have a lot of time to like screw around with it when I was just trying to get something done. And VS Code, I could just start up VS Code and install the LSP, and then I get all of the IntelliSense and diagnostics and being able to move around the code really easily and all that kind of like those nice features. I got them out of the box. People flood VS Code, and I think people really need to detach in their mind like the fact that VS Code is okay. These are the bad parts about VS Code: Electron, telemetry, Microsoft. There are good parts about VS Code. You know what I mean? There are really good parts. There are like this is a useful ass concept. This is a really useful concept for me, and I think I've explained why it's useful for me. On top of that, Microsoft, and because of VS Code, I think it was because of VS Code, they kind of implemented this language server protocol. I'm pretty sure that comes out of Microsoft, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason they made it was for VS Code. And that's really been helpful for people to just get all of, like, we're using all of that stuff here, right? Like, if I do that, and, like, where's this, whoops, let me go back to here. If I do this, right, and I get rid of this, and then if I get, like, this stuff, this all comes from the language server protocol stuff. So if you're using LSP, 9 times out of 10, you're using something that was developed for VS Code. If you're using debug adapters, they were developed for VS Code for the most part. And there's some that aren't, but there's a lot that are, and they were developed for that reason. And yeah, there are good and bad parts, right? And so one thing, again, since I started with VS Code, I got so used to the color scheme. Like, I just got incredibly used to it. So, like, in my mind, this shade of yellow is a function. And so it's real easy for me to look at this syntax and look around and just go, like, I can see how many functions there are without, like, really thinking too hard, right? If I would have started with a different color scheme, I probably would use that color scheme every single day. But just because, like, this is the one that I was using for, like, 2 years when I wrote, like, started writing tons and tons of code, I just got used to it, so that's why I have it there. Let's see. So have you updated your configs, Chris? If so, can we copy the GPS configs for winbar? Yeah, you can. Just make sure you're on the nightly version. I have a script. I'm going to have a script pushed up there that installs the latest version of Neovim. Just make sure you're on the latest version of Neovim. Are you using regex and Lua? Yeah, I am, but actually Guilfoyle helped me not have to do that. It needs the green that part in the status line. Oh, is that from VS Code? Well, I don't want to copy everything. There's definitely elements of VS Code that are not useful at all to me here, right? Like their activity bar or something like that. Like we can pull it up. I have VS Codium. Let's see. So let's do Codium like that. Okay, and let me just toss this to a different window. Okay, and so now let's see if we can like open a folder. Chris. We'll just go to. I want it to be code I'm a little more familiar with. Okay. Whoops. No. Open. No. Yeah, I hate that. Like all that shit. Like, okay, there's elements I really don't like, and maybe I'll go over some of them right now because I might as well. Let me get rid of this just because this is extremely annoying. This is the menu bar, activity bar. I think it's a menu bar. There we go. Okay, get rid of that. So let's open up pages, blog, category, this thing, whatever. Okay. So now you can see like it's got that similar kind of thing up there. Now, okay, like for instance, and let's kind of make this bigger. You can even see like how big the text is and how much more text just fits when I don't need to have this bar thing here. And you can get rid of this, right? But if you get rid of it, then you need to know like the Control B key opens up that and you know whatever else, right? So, and then this is the other thing too, is like having an account to like sign into your text editor just makes me like want to puke, kind of. Just like it's like IntelliJ. Like people like pay like $300 a year for IntelliJ. It's like just no, absolutely not. I do think this is one of the most useful things. Actually, is this mini map? I know people say that the mini map's not useful, but I actually think it is. I don't know. I actually find it pretty useful. That's one feature I do miss somewhat, but it's nowhere near enough to pull me back into VS Code or Codium or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that's basically this. That's kind of what we kind of implemented over here. And I think we save a lot more space. And when we actually move, when the Neovim team actually gets the ability to set this space here, the command height, whatever, to 0, and then that can be all the way at the bottom, like I'm going to be able to save a ton of space, and I'm going to have a ton of screen real estate here. Never did that in that language. Oh, yeah. I mean, regex is regex, right? 66 people watching. There was a time where I've had streams where like 100-something people showed up before. I think I need to start streaming earlier and more consistently, and then I think I could potentially pull in like 100 people into a stream. That'd be pretty cool. Regularly, at least. Have you tried syntax tree? I keep looking at that, and then I keep thinking like, I don't know. It just could take some time to fully like get that into my workflow. I get the concept though, right? Like each like, okay, if we do this, and then if I do capital T, and then we do playground here, basically what the surfer will do is, I'm pretty sure it'll like grab like chunks from the tree here, and then it'll like jump me between them. So like for instance, you know, you can move. Okay, like for instance, in Vim, there's motions to move between words, right? And there's motions just to move up and down, left and right, whatever. But like maybe, I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, the idea of the motions in Tree Surfer is like I would do like whatever the key is, and then I would move from this chunk to like this chunk to then this chunk to a function, and then like move between like just different tree sitter like parts of this. What are we calling this? Is this a syntax tree or something like that? I don't know. That's my thinking anyway. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at it that close. That's not giving me what I want. There we go. I only use VS Code over NVim because I broke my debugging in NVim. Plus, I have a build of VS Code with all the Microsoft stuff stripped out of it. Yeah, that's what Codium is. That's what VS Codium is. It's like got like a lot of the Microsoft stuff just kind of stripped out of it. And that's what I was using for a while. until I got my config. I mean, I'll never leave this now. This is the comfiest thing I've ever used for writing code at this point. But I do have debugging working. I'm also not like, I belong to that camp that like doesn't really use a debugger that often. There are certainly cons of that. You can make maybe the argument that there are no really solid pros besides weird ones like I somewhat belong to the camp that like if you don't use a debugger all the time, like you have to think about what's actually going wrong and have to know the code a little bit better. But that's kind of a stupid argument in my like. I don't think it's not, or at least it's not a strong argument. I think using a debugger is probably, especially in very weird cases, is a good idea. I don't hate on debuggers. I just never really work them into my workflow that much. And again, there are some people who just haven't, right? Like there are just some people, like I've used them. Like I've used like GDB, I've used PDB and stuff like that, but I've never like worked them into my editor. I tried using Neovim within VS Code, but I had a lot of issues with it, so I stopped. Yeah, that's the thing too, is like trying to marry the two is not always. There can be bugs, and I don't like bugs. That's why I'm gonna do a video soon about how to get a super stable Neovim config set up, and that won't break on you, right? I'm afraid, this is the thing, right? Like I'm afraid to update MVim and LVim. Every time there's a big update, something that breaks for me, I'm gonna figure out how to fix what's breaking so I can get comfortable updating again. Yeah, and again, like if you don't have, like I almost know every single line of code in my config at this point, right? Like my own personal config, like if something goes wrong, I can diagnose it like extremely fast. And I also know like all the places to go look for something going wrong, right? Like I know what threads to look in, potentially on Reddit, or I know what I know what issues to look up on Neovim or the plugins. I'm comfortable putting in issues and asking questions to maintainers. That's another like culture. I think if you're going to be using free and open source software, especially something like Neovim that has breaking changes pretty often, you have to be comfortable doing that. But on the flip side of that, if you kind of just want to wait for the fix to show up, or you just want to postpone it for later, that's what I'm going to do a video about soon, which is essentially, all right, after you created your IDE setup or whatever, how do you freeze it? How do you freeze it in time so that nothing screws up, right? And that's going to be a future video. It's not that hard, but there's a few things you need to do before you can get it working like that. Honestly, considering a career switch away from Java just so I'm not forced to use IntelliJ all day. I use Neovim for work, and I'm a Java developer. So they're extremely not friendly, but let me see if I have a Java HTTP client examples. This was me screwing around with the HTTP client. Let me do Java or mock Java mode to activate Java on my system here, and because I don't usually have it anyway. But yeah, I have this working like pretty well, right? So like you can see, this is me using Java, right? And now I got this cool thing up here, and I got references and things like that, right? Another thing that you can do too, I have this test file, and I think I have the debugging set up, so I can do space D, and then I can put like a breakpoint, space D, put these breakpoints, and then I can do, I think it's J, and now I can even test this method, right? So if I do T there, you can see like, all right, now I'm testing the method, and I'm moving between the debug points. Again, I don't use this that often, but we're rapidly approaching a time where like this is possible, right? Like it's and there's people who detract from this. They think like, just use IntelliJ and blah blah blah, but it's like, just no, I don't want to. Like I'll die on this hill, right? But I don't have to anymore because everything basically just works. So I know people who use IntelliJ, and it's a really useful tool for them. Like it's not like don't get me wrong, like IntelliJ works really well for Java development. But again, it's just like I have other things that I take into account when it comes to the software that I use, right? Like, why am I using DWM right now and not Microsoft Windows? Why am I using Neovim and not IntelliJ for these kinds of things, right? Different reasons. So let's see. Let me see if I can get through these a little bit faster. Minimap, just set the font to really small. Yeah, that's an idea. Worst part of your situation is to be forced to write Java for a living. Oh yeah, for Oliver. Me too, though. Hey, what's up, Bert Patterson? Trying to move from VS Code WebStorm over to LunarVim Vim in general is just so hard. Yeah, it is. It actually is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's super easy. I would say get an editor set up that you like and then and you're comfortable with. Freeze that thing, and then when you can, try to work in Neovim and stuff like that into your workflow. And I can usually answer questions and things like that too. I'm kind of an evangelist for it now at this point. But anyway, too, I just want to finish this debugging session. You can see, like, okay, up here we have the int local, all this kind of stuff, right? You can see if we come over here, I think if I press enter, the class has no fields, but if it had fields, you could see fields that were associated with it. And then if we continue with the debugging session here, I think if we go over to the DApp REPL, yeah, you can see the DApp REPL gives you a nice check mark. And it says should answer with true. And like if I had more tests, I could test all the tests and it would give me like X's for the tests that didn't pass and reasons and stuff like that, right? I think I actually have a thing for this now. I have like a compy thing. Maybe it doesn't work. But anyway, yeah, you could, and you can put stuff in the DApp and you can do the whole debugging, whatever. I like to show that though because just for Java people who say it's impossible, right? Where would messages be displayed if the line position was moved all the way to the bottom? I don't know. Maybe it would pop up, or maybe like a window would show up somewhere. I mean, you could easily just have a floating box show up, and you could put the commands in there, right? So that's a thing. I like getlens in VS Code, traversing previous revisions. Yeah. I have never really used it that much, but I've heard that's something that people really like. I, for the most part, like I never really run into something in Git that I can't usually just handle at the command line, or I can't handle with lazy Git or something like that. And actually, you can see this showing up here. I have to add toggle term to the blacklist. Okay, let's see what else. Real men use printf statements. That's right. I agree. Just join the stream. What's winbar? The lines visually separating tabs. This is the winbar right up here, right there. And inside of the winbar, the thing that's giving you the cool stuff is NVim GPS. I know one guy on the whole internet who switched from Vim into Emacs. He's the only one who made a mistake and does not. That was a terrible mistake that he made, because I switched from Emacs to Vim, and this was also a time, like, the reason that I moved over to Vim, to Neovim, like, as my editor for work and everything, is we worked on VMs without graphical user interfaces, and this was a time before VS Code had the whole ability to, like, remote into different file systems or whatever. And so I tried Emacs, but I was on an old version of Red Hat that had Emacs 23, and some of the new useful, it might have been LSP stuff, was only on Emacs 24, and Neovim had some LSP stuff where it was with COC. So at the time, COC worked with like 0.5 or something, and I was able to install 0.5 there just fine, and it compiled and it worked. Emacs for some reason just didn't work for me. And that's the reason that I switched over to Neovim. Like, these could have all been Emacs streams, and I could have been a very popular Emacs streamer instead of Neovim had I had better support at that time in Red Hat for Emacs. Had it just been in the local repositories then. Yeah, I know. This is also a nice thing that I like now too, which I just think it's funny to like have something that looks so similar to VS Code and then have it not be that. I just like the surprised faces, I guess. I've even fooled people at work into thinking that this is VS Code. My biggest problem for stability has been from plugin creators changing syntax for the functions they created. Yeah. That's the thing. That's why I try to find stable plugins and kind of stick with them. But, you know, I will do this. I definitely will do the stable config video. Hi, Chris from, I'm assuming that means, or what you meant to say there was Italy. Thanks for your channel. I finally managed to use Neovim. Awesome. I'm hoping every single time, too, that I do like a big series or a big video, like crash course video on it, to just make it easier and easier and the learning curve to be easier and easier every time. Sorry if this has been asked, but how do you color the icons in winbar? Yeah, okay, I didn't get into that, so that's a good question. Nope, not. That is VS Code. So now, or Codium. Okay, so how I'm doing that is, let's look for a GPS. Okay, so same exact thing. I have in my color scheme. So I made this color scheme from scratch. Color schemes, templates, dark plus. Okay, so I made this color scheme from scratch, and you can go look for CMP, and then we have the CMP section here, right? And in the CMP section, I have a bunch of different highlight groups. So we have things for function kinds and method kinds and constructor kinds and class and enums and booleans, maybe, I don't know, maybe not booleans, but values, units, whatever it may be, right? So these are the things to where, like, if I go and I start typing, like, I don't know, whatever, right? Like, these are the symbols that show up. There's no good symbols that are really going to show up in YAML, I don't think. But let's see if we can, is there any other kind of thing? Okay, we'll open up this. I'll do like Python. I don't have the language server for Bash installed right now. All right, Python, here we go. This we should have. So yeah, you can see, okay, here we go. So you can see all these colors here, right? Like you can see that color there, this one here, whatever. Now you want that to match. You want that to match, right? So okay, right now I'm in a function called parse arguments, right? And so what I want it to look like is I want it to say, like, if I look up parse arguments, I want parse arguments, that little purple box, to be the same as the purple box that's in my completion there, right? So you can see that this parse arguments thing is here, right? And I also want it to look exactly the same up there. Okay, so how do we do that? I'm pretty sure that was the question. Where's my, yeah, here we go. Okay, so remember I just showed you I had those highlight groups for compy, item, class, and all these kinds of things. So I just make it match that. So these are the icons in GPS. So you can see I'm setting them up here. And 3, yeah. You can see, okay, this is how Neovim GPS is set up on the GitHub repository here, and you can see where they set icons, and you have class name equal blah, whatever that is right there, right? Let's go back over here and take a look how I'm doing it. I have class name is set to, and instead of just the icon, I also wrap it in a highlight group. So I wrap it in this highlight group the same way that I did earlier in the video. So I'll just say like %, hashtag, highlight group, hashtag, then I concatenate the icon. And the icon here, let me move this. The icon here is one of these two things, right? If I'm on Linux, I use the VS Code version, and if I'm on Mac, I use the other version. And so that's all that is. That's where I'm grabbing that from. It's just a string. And then I can close with %, and this is what I learned from Max when I was going through his code, that you could do that. And so that's how I set the color for the icons, right? And that hopefully answers your question. And that was the last thing I think I really needed to get into for someone to copy this code and do the same thing. Sorry if this has been asked, but how do you color the icon? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. That wasn't asked, and so that was a good question. Packer snapshots? Yeah, Packer snapshots is good, and also pitting commits is good. I haven't decided which one I really like better. I think for super stability, pinning commits is probably better. Using Neovim stable, that's not a good idea though, because then you're using a plugin and you update the plugin, And the plugins always want to use MVim nightly because they want to develop on new things, right? And it's not like you're in like a company-wide ecosystem with conventions. Like for instance, if free software was run like a company, it would be like a mandate for all of the plugins to release a version, right, that works with the base version of Neovim, the last working version, right? So for instance, MVimtree would have a frozen version for Neovim 0.5. And then you would just, if you were using Neovim 0.5, you would just get that version of MVimtree, right? But that doesn't exist for every single plugin, and there's all different methodologies and different people working on different things. So it's kind of hard to wrangle all of it into one place. I think we collectivize pretty well for this kind of thing, though. Where are we here? Okay. Followed your series Neovim from scratch and LSP diagnostic. Yeah, this is the thing. This is why I need to... The next video will, I think, be able to help you out. It's why I couldn't continue the series, is because, some of those videos now are somewhat broken, right? So I'm gonna freeze everything up front, and then I'm gonna do a crash course video where I just set it all up in one video, and I set it up stable so these breaks can't happen. How did you get the references text? In that case, for Java, that was if we go to FT plugin Java, and then if we look up what is it called? Code Lens. And I just enabled references code lens, and I set enabled equals to true, and I'm using MVim JDTLS. So that's how that works. Yeah, it usually doesn't work how everybody expects at first with this kind of stuff, and then you just kind of have to keep banging away at it. How do you run Java files from terminal or in Neovim itself using some plugin? That was using MVim JDTLS from earlier. WinBar is actually extremely easy to set up. Like if you just want to like put something simple in there, like you can at any moment just do lua vim.op.winbar. I guess I can't get the completion there, and then we could just set it to like high. Right? Okay, and that's WinBar, right? And that's basically it. Now, but when I enter a new thing, it's going to do my other thing, right? That's kind of the idea of WinBar. There's not really much else to it, I guess. Let me see. If I open this buffer, I think I have a thing. Oh, I have to turn that off for this too. Well, maybe I don't. I'll never set it like that, right? Like I'll never do that. But now this is going to be extremely annoying because that's going to be stuck there and whatever. Let me restart this just because we didn't want to do that. Okay. So now what I'll do too is let me open up another thing, and then let me do v-split like this and then like that. And the other thing is you can also do, and this is probably how you're going to want to do it, is op local. And then you can just set that one to high, and then we can come over here. And this is also a way to like maybe tag things. I don't know, like if you wanted to tag something with some particular message at the top that says like working on, like I'm working on fixing something here, right? And now, I mean, that changed because I have like a thing to update on cursor move. But, you know, you could put something there, like a little note for yourself even. I don't know. You could do whatever you want. WinBar is a really easy concept. What people, I think, are getting it confused with when they see it is MVim GPS being up there, which is what I'm putting in there. I know, yeah. Whenever I look up stuff about DWM, I always get DWM in Windows, which is really annoying. What do I mean by freezing the settings? I'll show you in the video that I have coming up. Basically, we're gonna freeze everything to particular commits, and I'm gonna recommend that everybody install Neovim from source, which is extremely easy, and everybody should basically be doing that so they can just pin to a version. So like just check out 0.6. Don't have your package manager manage it at all, because then you're going to like update your system one day. It'll go from 0.6 to 0.7 and everything will be broken. So don't have your package manager manage Neovim. Just install it from source to at 0.7, the release version, call it a day. Then go find commits of plugins that work with the newer version, freeze them on those commits, and then you're done. Don't update it until the new version comes out and you feel like updating it. Or if there's some new feature you have to have. But even still, then you can save that code for your editor somewhere in a version that always works, right? You can have it on a branch, you can do whatever you want, right? That would be my recommendation. Let's see. Do I want to contribute to Neovim but to not speak C? I speak C. Like I have a computer engineering degree, so I did a ton of C. All the work I did initially at Lockheed Martin was all in C and C++. I know C. I already do enough work with Lua now and my config and all these kinds of things. And at the end of the day, like usually when I'm developing, it may seem like I spend a lot of time on my text editor, but like I don't actually, like I just don't, like I almost never spend time on my text editor anymore. I never really have to. Unless a new feature like this comes out and then I'm like, all right, let me spend like, 2 hours kind of just screwing around with it and making a video just because it'll be interesting to put on my channel. But like, I don't want to get into a place where I have to like, where I'm like way too into that, because I work on other things too, right? Like I'm learning a lot of like blockchain development. I have a full-time job, and what else? Like I also like working on things like DWM or something, like just to better my system. So like the level of abstraction that I like working on Neovim at is the level, like everybody needs to have some level of abstraction that they're working on Neovim or on anything with, right? There's guys who are working on Neovim who probably don't even use a lot of these extra features and shit, and they just want to work on the C code for Neovim and that kind of thing. Then there's guys working on like Lua integration. Then there's guys working on both of those things, but only at the core Neovim level. Then there's guys who just write plugins in Lua and that's it. Then there's guys that write plugins in VimScript and that's it. And then there's guys that are creating all of these different distributions. And the level that I'm operating at is I just really want to use it, improve it when I can, and then make videos on it to make the barrier to entry easier for other people who could get into any other part of the ecosystem, right? So like, I'm sure that I've brought people into Neovim who are now plugin creators, and I wouldn't even know how their plugin works, or they probably are better than me at Lua or whatever, right? But I see myself as kind of just like, I don't know, the way the level of abstraction that I'm sitting at is I just want to use it as an editor for the stuff that I'm working on. I like to hack at it when I can. I like to try out useful plugins and new features like winbar or whatever. And then I like to make other people's lives easier when they're getting started. You don't have to learn LazyGet, but I enjoy it. Argument that IntelliJ and Eclipse are smarter compared. I think they are in some ways. Like they have refactoring techniques that are really useful, and they know weird things about, like for instance, like I definitely get suggestions when I've used IntelliJ, things like that are like a suggestion that says you can, like I'll write some functional code and it'll like be smart enough to shorten my functional code. So there are things certainly that IntelliJ is smart enough to do. But ultimately, dude, like I program professionally Java every single day using Neovim. It can be done. You can even do it without LSP if you were sufficiently motivated. I wouldn't recommend it, but like this is the base level for where I could do work with Java, I guess. Do I use a split Ergo keyboard? No, right now I'm using a Newfie 75 Air. There are not a lot of there are not a lot of keyboards like this one, in that it is, and I use those Gatoron brown switches. Here's why I like it. I don't know if they have a good picture here. Okay. Anyway, I like mechanical keyboards, but most mechanical keyboards have a really like tall key, right? And I'm used to being on laptops, right? Like I have a laptop for work. It's a Mac, and it has these scissor switches, right, that are extremely low profile. And and other than that, if I'm usually working on things, I'm not usually sitting at my desktop. I'm usually sitting on my laptop somewhere doing something. And it has obviously, these little chiclet keys, right? Like most laptops don't have a freaking, an entire big ass mechanical keyboard in them, right? So the reason that I use this keyboard is because I don't get how people use the Ergo thing. I just wonder if they use their laptop that often, right? Because I don't think I could use the Ergo thing, because then I would my muscle memory wouldn't be the same. So anyway, when I'm sitting at my desktop, I want to have a low profile keyboard so my fingers don't trip over the big chunky keys, right? And so there's this keyboard, and then there's the what is it? The K something? I don't know. I have that one too. And it's another low profile keyboard, but this has been my favorite one so far. So yeah. Yeah, Lazy Gets Nice. What status line theme do I use? If you check out, and I think I basically answered most of the stuff around that. I did put in the title, this is a Q&A too, so I don't mind people asking questions. You guys can ask whatever questions you want. If you go to the LunarVim organization, I keep a few things in the LunarVim organization. Usually just color schemes, the LunarVim website, LunarVim itself, Neovim from scratch. But anyway, so if you go in darkplus.mvim, go inside of Lua, go inside of Lua line themes, darkplus.lua. This is my theme. That's the theme for my Lua line. So that's the one that you see here. That's that one. Have you thought about streaming on Twitch? I usually watch the Primogen on Twitch, but he's a bit hyper and you're a lot more chill. He's just good in its own way. Yeah, I've seen some of Primogen's tweens. I tried to say tweets, and then I streams. But yeah, I follow him on Twitter and also on Twitch. And yeah, he's got a lot of energy, that guy. I do like his stuff, but he's definitely got a lot of energy, and I can see what you mean, that we might have a bit of a different approach to Neovim and things like that. But yeah, he's got good content. Let me see. Have you thought about, yeah. Am I the only one who gets weird crashes of Neovim periodically? I actually don't get that many crashes, so I don't know. You might be, but I'm assuming other people are having Neovim crash for them. Let's see. Haven't had any plans streaming about how to, but yeah, maybe I'll get back on Twitch, because I used to be on Twitch, but then there's like this thing I have. If we look at my thing here, so I don't have it here right now, but like I have this thing to where I can stream, like I can multi-stream, so I can stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same exact time. So I have to just set that back up. winbar support rendering functions like status line or only static text. I mean, I don't know. It's not static text, right? So like, it depends what you mean by static text, right? Like, this is text that's changing, right? I mean, what else would go up there, right? Let's see. Have you ever played with Nix? Yeah, I played with Nix for a little while and freezing things with Nix. I used the package manager, not the OS though. I enjoyed the ability to freeze things and roll things back and all that kind of stuff. But I'm getting to a point where I'm just using too many tools and there's just too many things going on. And ultimately what I want to focus on is kind of just like a build script right now for Arch Linux. So I can like kind of just have a reproducible system. And I know Nix is good for that, and I might build Nix into that. We'll have to see. Have you ever played, yeah. What's up, Tonio? Winbar looks awesome. Did you set it up from scratch? Yeah. I kind of went through it in this video. I didn't set it up from scratch in this stream, but you can go through the code, and I think I explained it well enough to where you could basically copy and paste it and get the same kind of setup here. Probably improve upon it too. Guilfoyle helped me with a few things there. A little bit confused. Is it better to use Neovim nightly version or stable? Depends. Probably the nightly version, if I had to say. Because it's going to be more compatible with more plugins, I think, for the most part, except for the ones that slack off, right? So there's going to be ones that are stable that'll work with stable, and ones that, work with the new stuff, and Yeah, I don't like to screw around with different layouts for keyboards and stuff. I just use the basic stuff. Overdue for a haircut? I actually just got a haircut. I don't know. I like webcams are. I don't know. I've never really enjoyed. Like I'll probably put my face back on streams too. I just don't know what it really adds to things. And then also I'm like I already have this chat, and then I'm gonna have to have my face somewhere, and that's just like clutter. I'd even like to, if I could find a better way to like put this chat somewhere. Like I just don't know where I can put it to where I can, I don't know, make it easier. Probably right now would be better if it was bigger, because right now I'm just reading chats. Let's see if we can make it bigger like this. Yeah. Keychron, that's what it was. Yeah, I was using the K3 for a while, and then moved over to this Newfie thing. Is there a pre-configured NVim distro that is updated and maintained? That's what LunarVim hopes to be. It might fall short, but Let's see. Current NVim startup time. It varies per machine. I have like a 12-core processor and 32 gigs of fast RAM on this system, right? So can I really show you what your NVim startup time would be versus mine? Not really, right? Like, okay, here's how I kind of look at it, right? So let's move this to the side. All right, watch. I'm about to press NVim. Was that too long? I don't know. If that was too long for you, then maybe you wouldn't want my stuff, right? But for me, that's fine. So I don't really time it. I don't really care about startup unless it's like super noticeable and I'm like, holy shit, that's so slow. I don't care. Fully from terminal with VS Code. Yeah, it's definitely a lot to learn. Yeah, the reason that I like the Newfie is because it has the 2.4 gigahertz connection rather than Bluetooth, and Bluetooth kind of sucks. Where is your setup that includes your Java setup? On my GitHub. It's just under NVim. An old busted Logitech? That's fair. I just got into keyboards like for a second there. I only have like 2 keyboards, right? It's not like I'm like a keyboard collector like I've seen out there. Reading about MVs, new features, and gotta say the fixed terms. I don't know what fixed terms is. Yeah, we're not trying to go back to the e-boy phase. You have to put your face on screen to pull in a larger female audience. That is true. When I had my face on screen, usually the audience is 99.9% males. But I put my face on screen once, and then it flipped entirely. It was like at least 85% females just that day alone. So I don't know. Let's see. NVim startup time. Yeah, I can do that, but what does that tell you? All right, you want to see? I mean, I'll do it. Like, I don't know if the time really makes sense. Like, I don't know if it matters, right? Because it's going to be different per machine. Like this, my config might be slow on your machine, but fast on my machine because it's got a 12-core processor. Startup time filed. I think, yeah, like this file. Yeah, whatever. Missing argument. Oh, okay. It does just put it into a file. Okay. I don't know. 216 milliseconds, I guess. Is that what that is? Yeah. So that's what it is, I guess. Right now. what this might be good for, and what I would use this for, is if I'm like, oh shit, it is getting really slow, then I'll go through here and like, okay, which plugin is it? Which part of my config is it that's kind of like, where's the jump from like 100 to like 150 or something like that, right? Like, this right here, just sourcing the init.lua takes 160 seconds. So what is it in there that's taking so much time? And then maybe what I'll do is I'll like uncomment a few different plugins, and it's like, oh, well, this one's taking 50 milliseconds or something like that. And then maybe I'll find a way to like either optimize it or kick it out of my workflow if things are moving too slowly. I brewed an entire pot of coffee. The time it took you to start up Envim. Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's right now I have too many plugins, so probably if I really leaned it down to the stuff that I'm actually using, I could probably get it down to like 160 or something like that. Again, on this machine. It might be like 500 on like an old computer, or it might be 80 on like a faster computer. I don't know. Right, you have a similar config and it's 400 milliseconds. Yeah, so you never know. All right, we got through all those chats. I should start making people super chat, and I'll only read the super chats. The audience, yeah, I did catch up. The audience is still small enough to where I can usually get through everything. But I did say it was going to be a Q&A, so I figured I would answer everything that I could. I'll still answer if people have questions, but let me see if I can get into anything else. I think most of the questions were answered for that. Did I actually? Okay, I did. I did ping that I was live now. Let me see. Is there anything else that I really wanted to go over with the config right now? Because there might have been a few other things that I added that I didn't get into. I did talk about jabs, and this is something that I've been using lately that I just haven't really talked about. Let me see also with Lua. There's another thing I needed to add to this auto command list. Yeah, we need toggle term here. Toggle term. Yeah, that way it won't actually put one up there as well. Okay, here come more questions. Opening up a normal file when profiling will give the correct startup. Yeah, that also might not be totally true, because it also takes up some time to start up like the LSP as well, right? So some LSPs take longer to start up. I've seen LSP actually have like a significant factor. Like the Python Pyrite takes like a long time. Do you use Tailwind? Couldn't figure out how to add colors to CMP. I did use Tailwind. I don't want to continue using Tailwind. I used Tailwind for a little bit for my website. I don't know. Let's just open up CSS. Yeah. So like, I used Tailwind for a little while with my site, but then it seemed to be that I just was copy and pasting all over the place, and I'm like, okay, inside styles, like I can have all these styles here, or I could have like all this inline styling and copy and paste inline styling inside my actual code. And what I've decided that I like Tailwind for is quick prototyping. I think Tailwind is really good for quick prototyping, but I think after that, I wouldn't use it personally. Do you have any thought on Hedera Hashgraph, their Web3 approach? I haven't played with Hedera. Like I'm of course aware that Hedera exists. I kind of lump Hedera into the XRP, Algorand, what's some other names that might fit there? Stellar Lumens kind of world, like these Fed coin kind of world. It's obviously a lot, like in my opinion, I don't. Everyone says they're the most decentralized, but in my opinion, it's probably a lot more centralized than something like Bitcoin. And I'm also not a huge fan of proof of stake for the most part. So like I'm a fan. Like okay, would I create something on Hedera and develop for it? Maybe make a video on how to do it? Yeah, probably, because they're probably doing something interesting and novel, and maybe It could eventually end up being something that exists in the future in a global standard that everyone works on. But there's so many competing ecosystems right now that I don't know. I certainly think it's interesting, but I know also, isn't some of their code like isn't like the hash graph, like the code itself, like kind of closed source and proprietary? Wait, you are in build space? So cool. What's build space? I don't know what build space is. How do you make Lua line extend globally like that? Let me make this nice and big. You want Vim, Lua vim.op.last status equals 3. All right, so what you probably have right now is something like 2, right? And you want it to be the way that it is, you want 3. And so just put that in your config somewhere. Let's see. How do you make Lua? Yeah, we went over that. Sorry if this has been answered, but what do you use for top line, which shows what functions you're in? That was the whole video. So you got to go back and watch the beginning. But I will say it's the new winbar stuff. It's on nightly. And then to get the cool stuff that shows up there, that's using MVim GPS. That's what's actually putting that there. Do you lazy load any of your some of them, but again, I don't really care about lazy loading that much. There's places where it's good, but whatever. Just make it so $10 is a minimum threshold to use Facecam. That's a good idea. Yeah. If someone sends, like, not today, but in the future, if someone sends $10, I'll turn on the Facecam. Not today, but in the future. So if in a future video you want to show up, you can give me $10, and then you'll get 10 minutes of Facecam, and that's it. And then I'll move off of YouTube, and I'll get an OnlyFans account. And let's see here, and then I'll answer these questions, but I don't want to miss these ones. Do you have a way to repeat the last plugin command? Yeah, I think Vim repeat works for some things and not for others. So I don't know exactly how to get that. I don't know. I don't really use the repeat stuff that often. I'll usually just rerun the command for the most part. What I meant by fixed keys, by the way, is that NVim is now using this new encoding for modifier keys that can... oh, yeah. No, I knew about that. But you also need a terminal that supports that. And right now I haven't figured out how to get Kitty to support that. So, yeah. But that is cool. And if I can figure out how to get Kitty to support that, I have a bunch of stuff I would rather tab be. Like, I would rather tab be opening up my buffer list. So I'd like to open up this buffer list whenever I press tab. That's what I would like it to be. Fixed term. Okay. You want to die. That's not good. I use NeoTree. And I saw that. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll do a stream checking out NeoTree in the future. MVim Tree has given me a lot of grief in the past, so maybe I will do that. $10 for yeah, but only for 10 minutes too. So you're only gonna get 10 minutes. Let's see. L for me, NeoTree. I'll just turn it on sometimes, and we'll turn it on other times. I don't know. Let's see. For me, NeoTree toggling is slow. Yeah, I had a similar problem with something called ChadTree before. If there's a larger percentage of female audience, I can't say things like real men use printf. I don't think we're ever going to have to really worry about that here, if I'm being honest. So I think that'll always be safe to say. But I guess I can't put the face cam then, because then, yeah. I think I caught all of these. Okay. I still want to know what build space is. I don't know what that is. Is that a website? Build space. New Jersey. Oh, I think I signed LunarVim up for something like this. But it maybe isn't this. Maybe it's something else. I've signed Neovim up for a lot of weird things. Luke Smith gets all the female audience. I think Luke Smith's videos, I think his audience is like 95% female, right? I could imagine. I don't think any tech streamer is pulling in anything more than like, I'd be surprised if you're getting over a 5% female audience. But maybe he is. I don't know. It's very possible. Ladies are really into Monero and living off grid. It's a network of Web3 programmers I am in. I saw you're in a server with the same logo. Oh, dude, I'm in like a million Discord servers. Is one of them, is this, okay, this is Build Space. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm in just tons of different Discord servers at this point. I don't even really check on all of them. I check on like mine. And that's about it for the most part. But like a lot of different like just shitcoin servers and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I do want to say though, just from just so I get it out there, if people ask me about crypto, I will work on shitcoins and things like that, and altcoin. I'll call them altcoins and I'll be charitable. Like I'll do work on that kind of stuff because I find just like doing it is interesting. I don't know. Like I'll work on anything. I'll work on the crappiest shitcoin. Like I don't even care, right? Just because whatever. But as we've seen with Luna, you know, you might think you're not a shitcoin. And you may have convinced a lot of people that you're not a shitcoin and that you're the most stable. What was this guy's name on Twitter? Stable Quan, right? You might think you're stable and that you're real intelligent with your crypto project or whatever. But no. For the most part, I don't take many projects that seriously besides Bitcoin and Monero. And at this point, I feel like you kind of have to take Ethereum somewhat serious, but even Ethereum, I'm not really down with their whole roadmap and things like that. I actually think Ethereum I think it'll end up crashing once they move over to proof of stake. I think that's not going to be good for them in the long run or even in the short run. Let's see. Hi from Ukraine. Oh, so hopefully you're somewhere safe in Ukraine. The media has been kind of, I guess, quieter about Ukraine. I don't know what they're running with now. I'm sure they'll bring it back up again, but they've been hitting us with, I think it's been monkeypox recently. What's been a big thing that's in the media? I don't even know, but I know that that was I haven't seen a lot of people bring it up. But yeah, it really sucks what's going on in Ukraine. That's a nightmare. Thanks for the stream and yeah, no problem. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be streaming today. Oh, $3. Thank you. It's like my 7th super chat. Let's see. How do I make this a little bit bigger? They guarantee 20%. Oh, yeah, the Anchor protocol, obviously a scam. Yeah, 100%. I mean, the fact that people really put millions of dollars in something that's yielding 20% and they were real smug about it and they were real like, oh yeah, you just don't get it. This is the future, man. The future's 20% gains. Stable 20% gains year over year. So, okay, if you put in $100,000, you're going to make $20,000 per year. So if you put in $1 million, for instance, you can make $200,000 per year. You don't see a problem with that. It's like, okay, sure, dude. And again, like if you had something in there and you were taking gains out and you were like, okay, like I know I'm in something that's gonna fucking blow up in my face. But like, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna gamble a little bit, and I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna get my 20% gains. I'm gonna layer out. You know what I mean? Okay, fine. I get that. Again, like I'll play around in the shitcoin casino, whatever, right? But dude, just it is what it is, though. These people think it's this Web3 concept and all these different crypto coins or whatever. They think they're really drinking the Kool-Aid, man. It's a lot of that space is going to zero. Bitcoin is what really at the end of the day, at the end of every single year, you should be asking yourself, if you're into crypto, you should be asking yourself, how much more Bitcoin was I able to accumulate this year? That's like the fundamental question you should be asking yourself if you're in that space, in my opinion. Thanks again, Saeed, for the $3. But that's still $7 or $6. What's the math here? $6 and a penny too short. Is that the math, or is that? No. $7 and a penny too short for me to put on the face cam. Let's see. I think errors occur when file open does not have an icon in your winbar implementation. Okay. Adding an if statement over line 40 in winbar.lua fixes this. Really? Okay, so all right, so let's go check this out. Okay, like for instance, license. Okay, that's not in there. License doesn't have an doesn't. Oh, actually, it might. License does. It has the keys. You're right. Let's do thing. Thing has, it just gives it a regular one. Give me a file that I could open that would trigger this problem. Un saludo, Chris. Un Latino presente. I don't speak that much Spanish. I could get my girlfriend in here. She speaks Spanish. Tutor? Okay. Oh, like if I open up. Oh, yeah. There you go. Thank you. Oh, no. This starts a whole death spiral. Okay, let's fix that. Thank you. So again, this is why I like to code live, man. It just makes everything easier in the long run. I'm going to have to go. I mean, there's not that many. Oh, no. Here we go. Here we go again. What do I do? How do I ban this person? Or okay, report. Unwanted this. Yes. Report that. Go away. Thank you. Remove. And remove. Okay. Why DWM and not i3? Do you find dynamic window managers more preferable, or what? Or just because it's suckless? Okay, so I do like suckless stuff. So like for instance, like I will support a project even if it's less, user friendly and whatever these things, just because of the philosophy behind the project. Like a lot of people think that they just get into software and there's no other element involved other than just there's just the code or whatever, right? And I don't really subscribe to that. So like I will look at like the mission statement or potentially even the politics of a project before I can really even support it, right? Like there's some projects I use that I don't like using. Like for instance, I don't even really like using React because it's supported by Facebook, right? And I don't really like, or Meta, yeah. I don't really like Facebook, right? Like I don't like using certain software, but I'll still use it because, I make this trade-off, this weight trade-off in my head. Because it's like, okay, but React is used all over the Web3 space and whatever, so a lot of libraries are available for it, whatever, but I wish I could use something like Vue or Svelte, right? Same thing goes for suckless. Like I'll usually prefer a suckless tool over some other tool just because I do like their stance on software. Like I like that they're, like for instance, okay, in most of what Facebook develops, they develop things that spy on users, collect data, they're evil, they're just terrible people, right? Suckless, here's their motto, is like 2,000, it's like sub 2,000 lines of code, we're not spying on you, it's very simple, it's right there, it's all there, and you can trust us, right? So that's, and even if you don't like them, you know you can trust them, right? Because they're showing you all the code. It's right there in your face, and it's small, and it's maintainable and manageable. Because there's even other projects, even something like Kitty, right? Like if you look at ST, it's like there's not that many lines of code, so there's no way to really put any telemetry tracking in there without it being extremely noticeable. But in something like Kitty, you just sneak in the telemetry, and it's there. Right? And that's why I wouldn't want to support Kitty. Why do I use DWM and why do I like other reasons, yeah, dynamic window managers are a million times better. i3 is shit because, in my opinion, because it doesn't have dynamic window management. I can't. How do people not use dynamic window? Like in i3, for instance, if I'm over here, and now if I want to like open up something like to the right or whatever, also like I can just like do this and I just know where everything's going to go in DWM, right? Like I know how it's going to work because it's got like this master stack kind of implementation here. I just love this. This is just great because it just puts everything exactly where I want it. i3, you'll get something where like the side here will be highlighted or this side will be highlighted, and then you have to like move it to like open it up to the next. I don't want to think about that. You know what I mean? I don't want to think about that at all. And for the most part, if I'm working anywhere anyway, I have this. I have like maybe this. For the most part, I have like 3 things. So I don't really want to think too hard about it. And then when it's not that, I go into monocle mode, and then I just move in between all 3 of them, right? So actually, let me do like H-top, and then we'll do like LS here, and then we'll do glances, right? So yeah, so now I can just move through all 3 of them like this in monocle mode. So yeah, I mean, I don't need anything too complicated, and I certainly don't want to manually have to tile. I really don't like that. I mean, I said it's shit. It's not necessarily shit, but you know. Let's see. Hell yeah, bring in the dancing lobsters. Okay. Sorry for bad vibes. Well, you know, try to have good vibes, dude. Let's see. Another Latino here. Cheers, Chris. Great work. Yeah, I have a lot of people from all over the world show up, like Ukraine earlier, which has got to be tough there. People from a lot of people that I've talked to in my chat when I do like crypto streams or something like that. It's always people from like South America or like someone from like Brazil or someone from, you know, wherever. And like they're usually telling me, or Argentina or something like that. They're like way ahead of the crypto revolution down there. Or guys from India too. Like they'll show up and chat too, and they get what's going on too, right? And I've noticed just people from countries that are kind of like on the upswing a little bit. There's a lot more people there interested in like becoming software developers and getting jobs and having a useful career or something like that, you know. So yeah, I don't know. I've just noticed that. Let's see. Yeah, streams are not enjoyable without the bots spamming the chat, right? I need mods in this chat. Can I make you a moderator? How do you make... There we go. I don't know why I've never made you a moderator before. Just regulars. I'll give anyone moderation if they're like a regular. I think it'd be easier if everybody had a wrench, you know? And then like everyone... It's like, you know, giving everybody a gun. Like people all behave because anyone can ban anyone. Can we access your config, or do we have to use the Lua version to get this kind of setup? You got to use Lua for this kind of setup. I wouldn't even know how to do this, and I mean, I'm sure you could do it with Vim script, but I wouldn't even try. Sexy chat, nice meeting you. Yeah, nice meeting you too. Oh, and LunarVim. I didn't add this to LunarVim. We could probably talk to Hatsu about it, and I'm sure Hatsu could add something like this if he's sufficiently motivated. He's mostly taken over that project, so we should talk to him. Let's see. We're gonna get to this in a second because I definitely said. Well, we'll get to that. Let's see. It was nice meeting you. Yep. What's your thoughts on Clojure? I've never really used it. Can't stand having to tell the window manager where I want the window. Exactly. I also like DWM because I can edit the source code directly. So I have more control over it than other window managers. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, well, listen, if you went back earlier into the chat, you would have realized that I said next chat I'll do it, not this chat. So I will honor this though. In the next chat, I will have a face cam. All right, I promise. Let's see. But yeah, so. But thank you. It's a very generous donation. That might actually be the most generous donation I've ever gotten in super chats. So next stream I'll do a face cam. Let's see. So winbar, yeah. So winbar, yeah. Let's ban everyone, right? I went over winbar. Look, I went over winbar for like the first hour of the chat. So I think I've covered most of what winbar can do. I'm waiting for it to be able to be clickable. And well, if everyone has a wrench, I'd like to see that. Maybe one day I'll just give the whole chat a wrench and we'll just see who gets banned. And I promise next stream I will have a face cam. And I'll do a face cam for the next 3 streams because I think I've got $30 here. Not that I'm going to make that a stipulation or that any time it'll be guaranteed that if people send in $10, I'll do a face cam. Like, that's obviously not something I'm going to go with. That was mostly a joke, but here we are now. But yeah, next stream, face cam. Promise. All right. Let's see what we got here. Now, I've never used BSPWM. I've used DWM and i3. And also one time I used something else. I forget what it was. I forget what it was. It was for Wayland. So it was Sway. And I didn't like Sway because of the same reasons I don't like i3. Because it's basically the same thing. 1 second. Let me move this thing over here. Okay. So, we're going to beat Luke Smith's stats. I don't think we're ever going to beat Luke Smith's stats. Well, maybe one day, but definitely not in this chat. I think he pulls in like a good amount of views. I like Luke Smith stuff. He doesn't always talk about like tech stuff, but some of his takes, like I know he's a big Monero guy. Like I get that. I know he does. He basically he shills for Monero. And I like Monero. I shill for Monero, right? So like I agree with that. But like I think also it'd be good to, because I know he's got like this Monero super chat thing going on. Maybe I'll send him a super chat in Monero or something like that one day. But I think he should also, I get that the Bitcoin's this surveillance coin and it's compromised and all these kinds of things, but there's a really good chance that Bitcoin's going to be like, it's going to be really hard to derail Bitcoin, right? Even with Monero, even with a lot of these other things. I also look at Monero's hash rate compared to Bitcoin's hash rate, and it's not even in the same universe, right? So, I don't know. Like, I get Monero. I get where he's coming from. I get the idea of having this base layer private blockchain kind of thing, whatever. But there's other reasons that I won't just abandon the first crypto coin, right? The first one in this grouping, right? Like, the reason that I won't leave Bitcoin is because it's like, oh, okay, I mean, we created some currency, and then someone comes along and creates a better currency with a better technology. And so then you leave the currency that was supposed to be the money for the new one, and then all the people who held the last one, they just went broke unless they got on the other new train fast enough. So then generational wealth isn't really a thing anymore. So it's hard to leave money to your kids in this currency because you could be supplanted by some technology with, you know, better like some better tech or some new feature or something like that. Now I also understand that we're still on kind of a proving ground for which crypto is going to be which ones are going to survive into the future, if any but one can survive into the future. And maybe it will be Monero or whatever. And like, you know, that's great. Like I do like Monero, but I don't know if I necessarily see it becoming the world's currency, right? I don't know. I'm not against it. I hold Monero, and it's like my second biggest holding besides Bitcoin. So, but anyway, I don't know. It's just some thoughts I guess I had on that. Read that right. I'm in Brazil, so the donation had to be in Brazil. I think it's still like came out as $24 or something like that. So as long as that's $24 American, it's definitely the biggest chat I've ever gotten. I recently switched from DWM to Awesome. Can recommend. The only reason I would think about Awesome is because of the Lua stuff. But again, like DWM is just the first one that I started with. I try not to switch from things. I try to just improve them if I can. Dude has very strong opinions. Oh yeah, Luke Smith. Well, I think you have to. If you're going to be someone who has a YouTube channel and people show up to it and you know, whatever. I mean, anyone can have milquetoast opinions where it's just like, you know, but that's not entertaining, you know. So I like when people have strong opinions about things. I have some strong opinions about things. So, Ola from Brazil, or Ola Brazil, Portugal here. Portugal's nice. My girlfriend visited there recently. She said it was really nice. Wanted to say thank you for the videos and configs. Yeah, no problem. The R in front sign means that it's Brazilian real. Oh, okay. So it's exactly $5.01. Oh, okay. I don't know the conversion rate. That looks just like dollars. I feel like it'd be nice if they could just show it to me like in the currency that I understand. I need to set up the thing that Luke's got though with the Monero thing. I definitely would like to encourage people to use that. But it's still a very generous super chat. Still $5 is still probably like the third biggest I've ever gotten. But yeah. So let's see here. This is the thing though. Another thing is I'd like to just see everything like in Bitcoin denominated terms, like in the future. And I think that's how it's going to have to be anyway, because there's things like super chats or whatever, and then like, you know, you'll have something come in like, I don't know, all these different currencies that all these different countries have. And, you know, whether people like it or not, we're moving into this global economy, right? So there's really you might as well just have one currency at this point. You know, everything is at this point basically just a derivative of the dollar, besides potentially ones that have kind of decoupled from the dollar now. So like pretty much every single currency around the world is just a dollar derivative, besides now maybe the ruble and the Chinese yuan, right? So those are the only currencies that really aren't just the dollar pretty much, right? And even then, they're still basically just starting to kind of pull away. But yeah, I don't know. Not to say that I want the whole world to be on the dollar, because I certainly don't want that. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I'd like to get away from, like, that's another thing too, is like I don't want there to be too much infighting in the crypto world when they start rolling out these CBDCs, like these central bank digital currencies. Like we certainly don't want those. And I don't know, like I really hope that the general populace doesn't just get on board that train. You know, I really hope they don't. I really hope they notice that like people are missing the plot on crypto entirely. At this point, like it's just starting to look like a freaking casino and just full of scams and things going to zero. And then they're making it look in such a way it was just like, oh, we have to regulate this because, you know, billions of dollars just got like wiped out from the Luna ecosystem or whatever. And yeah, it's really not a good look. It's really not a good look, you know. And then people are going to be like, oh yeah, I want my safe Fed coins or whatever. But what I guess normies are not going to realize is when these CBDCs get rolled out, like you're going to have like $100 in your bank account. Like they're going to give you UBI. They're going to just send it to your bank account, whatever. They'll send you like well, not $100 because $100 ain't shit anymore. But I don't know. They'll send you like $10,000, and $10,000 will be enough to like feed you for the month. And then in the future, and every month that you don't use that 10,000, they'll just like burn 20% of it, and they can do that algorithmically, right? And they can just have that baked into the protocol, and they can do that for everybody who's on it. So we don't want to do that. The government will probably be brazen enough to call it FedCoin. I mean, it would be known as FedCoin whether or not they want to call it that, but yeah, I mean. They probably would just be brazen enough to call it FedCoin. And the problem is, like, again, like these smart contracts and shit. I don't want smart contracts. What was that thing that just came out for Bitcoin? This is what I want people to be focused on is like, okay, if it's going to be Bitcoin, right? And you're over here like, oh no, it's going to be my project or whatever. Okay, whatever. But yeah, it's probably going to be Bitcoin. And we got this new thing coming out. It like enables smart contracts on Bitcoin. It's like this, it's this new, it's BIP 119. That's what it is. So if we look up BIP 119, and I've derailed from winbar now. We're talking about something different. This is really long. Let's see if we can see. It's a new opcode. Let's see if I can get the basic gestalt here. Yeah, covenants. Oh, here we go. Covenants are a restriction on how a coin may be spent beyond key ownership, right? And so this is supposed to be, it was going to be fast-tracked. I don't know if it's merged already or if it's already made it through or all the miners have signaled this thing through. But anyway, so, you know, a covenant is a restriction on how a coin may be spent beyond key ownership. And basically, this is putting in... So the problem is people think like more options are good. So they're thinking, but this leads to coercion in my opinion. Because if, okay, someone will come up to you and be like, well, the covenants thing is just an option. So it adds these new parameters by which a coin may be spent, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to, right? But my thinking is like, don't even add anything like that at all. Like make it so that you can't, like there's no way to even, like how Bitcoin is today, right? Like my understanding is that this is adding restrictions. Yeah, like covenants in Bitcoin transactions usually refer to restrictions on where coins can be transferred. So imagine you get into some covenant with somebody like the U.S. government, right? And you're in some covenant for whatever reason. I don't know how you were coerced to getting into it, but people can be still coerced into doing things, even with Bitcoin or whatever. And so you're coerced into this thing, and now you can't spend it at, I don't know, somewhere the government doesn't want you to spend it, or somewhere where this covenant says you're restricted to send it to this particular address, or you can't send it to an address without us okaying it, or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's something that would be here. Now, I don't understand it fully, but the thing is, like, here's my real problem with this. The fact that I can even misconstrue it as what I'm saying right now, and they just want to fast track it. So they don't even want to, like, go through, like, a normal process for getting this through. And other things have been fast tracked, like Taproot and TapScript have been fast tracked through Bitcoin. But BIP 119 is supposed to be fast-tracked too, but this is a lot more controversial, right? And I would rather the whole stupid, idiot crypto community, right, which is full of scammers and clowns at this point, to be worried about something like this instead of all, like, this stupid shit. Like, your money's going to go to zero anyway, no matter what. You know, just this is where I would rather a million eyes be looking at something like this, like at covenants and BIP 119, rather than like, oh no, Luna just went to zero. I can't believe it. I can believe it. Like, what? You know? So, I don't know. This is what Majid Nawaz, on the Joe Rogan podcast, when he referred to programmable currency. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. These contracts, there's going to be no one, there's not going to be a human you can go to. There's not going to be some place to appeal it or whatever. You're just going to have an account that's fully centrally controlled, and it's going to seem like it's not, but it's going to be. And just, you know, you don't spend your money, we burn it. We don't like you, we disable your account. We don't like this particular people. Well, you all have to be in a Bitcoin covenant with us, and you can't spend your coins here at these particular vendors. There you go. Sucks. Let's see. Oh, by the way, since this was $5, that's one Facecam stream. And it will be the next one. Maybe I'll stick to the 3 just because I did think it was that before. Shekadera, it isn't even a blockchain. Yeah, but again, okay, I can be somewhat interested in it. I can build on it, screw around with it, whatever. But at my core, with the stuff that I'm way more interested in, what's going on with Bitcoin. Yeah, such a wonderful future. What's that video that came out with "You'll Own Nothing," and I don't know. It was by Leonardo of Biz. It's like the spiritual successor to Bizonacci, and he's got his virtual reality meta goggles on. I'm not gonna play it because I don't want to get banned. But he's like dreaming, and he's just dreaming of advertisements, and he wakes up in this like dystopian apartment, and he like, let me see if I can get like a still from it or whatever. Let's see, Leonardo of Biz, you will own nothing. I'm not gonna play it though. Let's see images. Yeah, it's that guy's face. What is this shit? Hold up. All right, Brave. All right, let's see. Google could probably do better. Unfortunately, this is one of those times. Yeah, it is. Right? And so, like, this guy's face is used in it the whole time. You got Klaus Schwab or whatever. I was kind of hoping there'd be more pictures or whatever. But there's, like, this scene of this guy. He's, like, in his... he's in his apartment, but he's got the goggles on. He wakes up, takes them off, and then he's got his rental smart contract, and it's about to expire. He goes to work, he says something they don't like, and then they like dock his pay, and then the smart contract triggers the rental smart contract because the rental smart contract now realizes he won't have enough money to pay for rent, so they kick him out of his apartment while he's at work. Like... It's just like this cascading effect of like not having enough money just like totally ruins you. So like don't even think about saying something. He was like my office is a bit cramped or something like that. It was hilarious. Does Neovim have status line mouse events? It doesn't now, but I think that's going to be added to winbar and also here, which could be interesting. It's not really for me. I don't think I would really use it for anything, but maybe I would. I don't know. I think the "You own nothing and be happy" is a quote from Klaus Schwab. I think it's a quote from the WEF, which Klaus Schwab, I guess, is the head of. But yeah. In some ways, I kind of agree. Like, actually, I kind of hate owning shit. I was like when you have too many things, that can be a bad thing. Like I'm been moving a lot, and like I usually purge a lot of the extra shit that I don't use, and that's usually actually been very good for me because like a lot of people like obviously you look at like hoarders, and that's obviously bad, but there's a spectrum on hoarding, right? And so like you'll show up to some people's houses and they just have way too much crap. And they're in debt for way too many things, right? Like, already nobody owns anything. All right, like, how many people actually own their house? Like, no one, right? And you don't even own it when you own it. You think you own it, and then property taxes, you don't own it. You don't own it. You don't try not paying your property taxes. And then your car, okay, $47,000. That's the average price for a car today is $47,000. So it's like, you know, do you own your car? Do you even own yourself when you're in how much student loan debt, right? And then do you own your house when it's $500,000 for a house anymore? You don't own shit anyway, right? So, I don't know. I'm not against owning things. I'm just saying, like, you know, something to think about. Do you even own anything today? All right, Saeed. Hopefully I'll see you. Hopefully I'll see you next time. I'm going to try to stream more frequently. Maybe I'll quit my job and just stream and make videos full time. Created a PR for error handling. Oh, against what? Against my thing? That'd be cool. I'll go check. It's okay, no webcam. It's your video style, and it's actually enjoyable and chill. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind doing the webcam. I'm not like against it. But it's just I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. I don't really get the e-boy urge that I guess Luke Smith gets. Or that DistroTube or some of the other creators that are vaguely related to some of the stuff that I do, that are in this kind of like extended space of I don't know. I don't even know. Because like I do get a lot of people, like I check the people who watch my channel, and like a bunch of them also watch DistroTube. A bunch of them also watch Luke Smith's channel. A bunch of them watch one of the biggest correlations was Luke Smith's channel, his clone channel that got bigger than Luke Smith's channel, Mental Outlaw. Yeah, a lot of people watch those channels and they watch my channel. And I guess like it's all kind of related because I kind of do Neovim, and they all use Vim, and they all use Linux. I use Linux, and then pretty much all of them are into crypto, and I do some crypto stuff. So I guess there is a lot of overlap, but I don't know. I was looking up GitHub, and I actually don't keep my Neovim config like easily found, but here it is. Pull request. Oh, here we go. Sweet. See, this is what I love. Even better. I don't even have to write the code. Thank you. Approve. And how many things do we have here? How many commits? Whoops. Well, I want to squash and merge anyway. There we go. I got some other ones here. Update repo name. What does this do? Oh. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. I'll take it. But I have to update the whole README anyway. And what other PR do I have out here? Misspellings.lua? What is that? What does that do? I don't even know what that is. Apparently there's people who have issues with my Neovim config. Undefined reference to main? I don't know what that is. I think this was a problem before with some master main stuff with tree sitter. Not an issue, but... Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could do it, but I remember getting that issue. That thing does kind of confuse me. I haven't actually really checked a lot of those issues. Let's see. I'll be streaming some Scala stuff in like 10 minutes. YouTube has raids now. No pressure, though. Well, I'm going to be off soon. I will raid your thing, though, and I'll send everybody there. Love Mental Outlaw's cooking. That was actually what interested me in a lot of Mental Outlaw stuff, was his peanut butter and jelly sandwich video. That was probably, I think, my favorite video that he made. But actually, unironically, the favorite video that he made was the Race Car Johnny video. I don't really watch a lot of his stuff because, I mean, he's doing a really good job of like growing his channel. But it's just kind of like lately with like Mental Outlaw had some good takes with like, for instance, the Race Car Johnny thing, and he had a few other videos with good takes. But lately it's just like keeping up with like whatever new privacy dystopian tech thing that's happening, and he does a video on it, and I'm just like, I don't want to see that. It's like I'll show up for his cooking videos, and I'll show up for if he does like any Gen 2 things, I'll go support those. But I already get enough of the whole like doomsday kind of tech stuff. I see people are using window managers over here. What about desktop environments such as... Okay, I used GNOME on my laptop for a little while, and then GNOME 42 came out, and I'll never use GNOME ever again. GNOME, I hate GNOME at this point. If I was going to use a desktop environment, it would probably be between XFCE and KDE, but it would probably just be XFCE. Just simple. I don't know. GNOME is a mess. Is an absolute mess.
like, I don't know why it has to be that. Like, it was a semi-sane experience, I think, with GNOME 40. But after that, it just really, I don't know what happened, but it just, like, there's things about it that are just, it's very buggy for me right now, and it just, I don't know. There's just elements about it that I just really don't like. And their whole theming thing now is screwed up. I'm not interested. KDE is, I think, almost has like a similar problem. They might look somewhat the same. I don't know about that, actually. I think more window managers look alike at the end of the day, for the most part. Because they're literally just windows, right? Like, I think the thing that makes desktop environments at least look somewhat different is like their title bars and things like that, and usually like whatever bar thing up here at the top is, or at the bottom, I don't know. Yeah, something about GNOME is just going in a really bad direction, and I used to use it just on my laptop, whatever, because, well, for instance, I had a Mac, and I have a Mac for work, and GNOME has a really similar trackpad workflow kind of thing to my Mac that I use for work. So I was like, all right, I'll use GNOME on my laptop, whatever. And I don't know, just lately it was really bad. Do I prefer Mac or Linux? Linux. It's not even really close. There are elements that I like to Mac, but again, Mac is spying on you. They can go. They already made it public, basically, that they can go through all your files and inspect everything on your system and all this stuff, and it's all to keep people safe and keep the children safe and all these things. It's like, no, not really, dude. You think Apple's worried about kids? Sorry, no. Where do you think these things are made? Where do you think many of the little tiny parts and things like that are made for Apple devices? They're made in like sweatshops. You know what I mean? They're not some like really ethical and moral company. You know what I mean? They want access to your computer and all your files, and they're thinking up of an argument that you can't really disagree with, right? Happy to see System 76 get away from GNOME. Yeah, I'm really happy to see that. I'm definitely happy to see System 76 get away from GNOME. I hope their Cosmic desktop like works out. I think they're writing it in Rust or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it'll be really nice, and maybe I will start using a desktop environment on my laptop again. But for now, I think I'm just gonna have DWM everywhere, because I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. With Mac, I don't know. Just the fact that like there's that, and then there's just this whole ecosystem you're kind of trapped in. I'm definitely much more pro Linux. Do I post my dot files? Yeah. They're pretty much all over here. Well, LunarVim is some of my dot files, I guess. Let me go to my profile. And let's see. So if you go to macOS, that's where a lot of my dot files are, and that's where like my DWM config is. Like, it's just an organization that I have similar to LunarVim. So this is my window manager. It has the thing to where like you can do wait, that's not it. How do I have this working? Like this, right? So we got the exploding windows, and we got just I forget if there's any other interesting things. The most interesting thing is the exploding windows, I think. But yeah, we got that, and then so that's the WM. My fork of ST is over there. I think it's better than most forks of ST, but it gave me a little bit of grief lately. I think it was with a font. I think it was with some font. I think that was the problem that I had with it. Wallpapers. This is eventually going to be a bootstrap for my dot files in the future when I get around to it. Maybe I'll do a stream on that. Maybe that's just where I'll start streaming things, because I could just do daily streams working on that kind of stuff. And then also mock files is those dot files that you see. Everything's going to be written in Rust soon. Yeah, maybe. Has anyone found a use case for remote and server? What, for Neovim? I think that's useful for like if you want to have like your own front end for it. Exploding windows actually looks cool. Yeah, I love the exploding windows. That's like my favorite thing that this is the one unique thing that my DWM does that I don't think anyone else's does. Right? Like I've never seen anyone do this besides me. So, yeah. Will winbar be functioning as expected for you on a CLI? This is CLI Neovim. Versus what? This is the command line. This is like what else would it be? Like look, watch. Let me do it'll be in winbar. And the change that I have in winbar is that. Okay, we're gonna fix that in the future. All right, let me actually update this. Update because I'm lazy. I don't care. Yeah, non-GUI. This is non-GUI. This is the CLI, dude. This is a terminal. I only even knew about SkippyXD because I saw you use it. Yeah. I don't think I've never seen anyone else use it, or even never have heard about it. Non-GUI. Yeah. So now yeah. Son is confused because you're an Emacs user. Okay. Yeah. Vim doesn't really have this concept of like a maintained GUI and CLI version. Pretty much everything is just like there are third-party GUIs, but Neovim doesn't like have like an official GUI client, I guess. I mean, when you're not running X. Yeah, even then it'll work, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, as long as you have the right fonts and everything, I can't see why there would be an issue. So yeah, it would work even then. Because again, this is literally just a terminal, right? Like it's not. I can't imagine that it wouldn't work. Use both Emacs and Neovim. I just feel like that would be too much overhead for me at this point, but I don't know. All right, let's see. How long have I been streaming? 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think that's pretty good for a return to streaming. I'm going to try and stream again soon. Facecam next time. Get all your questions in now. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to try to get through them in the next 5 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. And hopefully someone reminds me to raid, stream. Didn't know exploded views are now a thing with window managers. Well, they're not. They're only a thing on mine. And I've never seen anyone else do it. So if you want to replicate it, you can. But you need the right special things, and it only works on DWM because DWM doesn't really have workspaces. It has tags, and so like all of these things are available to me, right? If this was using i3, for instance, and you use SkippyXD, it'll only explode the windows that are like currently here, right? And that's not like super useful. What pros and cons do you have between Alacrity and Kitty? Alacrity, I would use Alacrity if it supported ligatures. It doesn't, so I don't use it. Kitty supports ligatures. That's about it. I think that's the only reason that I would really use Kitty besides Alacrity at this point. I know the dev for Alacrity like hates the concept of ligatures for some reason. I don't know. He's like seems to be very against it. That's my impression that I got. But you know, that's really my only ligatures is my only sticking point. Other than that, I would use Alacrity because Kitty spies on me. And I really hate things that spy on me at this point. Maybe the colors will be messed up. Maybe. I have that working on my DWM config. Focus on active patch is a wonderful thing. Yeah, focus on active patch and the warp patch. I think I need it for it as well. If you don't care about ligatures, then you're good to go. Also, I've noticed on Alacrity. Do I have Alacrity right now? Alacrity, like, how do you spell it? Peru, flag S, Alacrity S. Alacrity. All right, this is what things look like in Alacrity. I need something that, hold up. Okay, it gets the lines good. Right, like I'm not getting like a weird split there. Another thing would be, okay, actually, it's getting the fonts pretty good. Yeah, the only thing is I just want to get ligatures. Like, I just like ligatures. So that's like my only problem. I would like to have ligatures. Other than that, I'd probably... Oh, and the other thing that I don't like about Alacrity is this. The cursor color thing. Some people like that. I actually hate it. So I like when my cursor is one color and it doesn't change depending on the context of the thing that I'm over top of. So you say I'm over top of something orange, so it inverts it. I don't like that. I like just like a solid color for it. Kitty has telemetry. That's how it spies on people. So that's how. I don't like any telemetry. You know what? I'm not necessarily against telemetry, but it should be opt-in, not opt-out. Telemetry should be opt-in. Shouldn't be opt-out. Telemetry in Kitty terminal. Here we go. Wow, this is something that had it. And here's the pull request. Set default update interval to 0. I believe that any kind of opt-out mechanism that connects to a remote resource is anti-feature. And that's because you're an intelligent, thoughtful individual. That's why you think that. I disagree. What a guy. How come I, oh, because it's closed. What a Chad. Yeah, but why? I don't understand like why it needs to be on by default. So aren't doing me a favor by using Kitty. Usually the fact that its functionality to notify you of updates is on by default. Yeah, but you know, is that all it is? I don't know, right? And so it's like this thing. I'm assuming this guy knows what he's talking about here. I haven't like gone through their code like excessively, but the thing is, like, he could have come up with a much more thoughtful reply here, and like if it's misleading or whatever, then like kind of like you could kind of explain it. But here's the thing: Kitty is opening up network connections without your knowledge, right? That's what it's doing. Simple as, right? And so I don't really need some terminal or something that you think is just a compiled binary on your system opening, and you think, oh, it's just a terminal emulator. Well, why is it opening up network connections? You know what I mean? Why does a terminal emulator need to open up network connections? You know, I don't get it. I don't want it, right? Now, some LSPs do that. I try not to use those, or I try to turn it off if I can. But again, right now, I have it turned off on my config for the telemetry stuff, and then also I'm still enjoying the ligature stuff. And yeah, you could use it behind a firewall. I don't want that. I don't even want to think about that. I just want it's the general ethos of the developer, right? If you're even the type to think that by default you should be opening up network connections from my terminal, I'm just not. Like, I'm not going to support that, right? I don't know what to tell you, you know? Simple as. Like, I'll use it for now because, like, there's different trade-offs that I have personally right now. And you can turn it off, and I'm aware of that. But, like, I'm actively looking for something that checks more boxes because Kitty does do telemetry by default. And I just don't want it opening up network connections. Alacrity can't draw straight lines for me. Yeah, usually I've had that problem. That's what I was kind of shocked that it actually worked. Okay, so I guess that's why. But yeah. All right. I have no idea how to raid a channel, but I wish I did know. If I can't figure it out, then I'll just probably post it. But also, I do want to figure out what this guy's YouTube channel is. Dev Inside You. Let me see if I can open it up over here. Oh, my man's got lots of subs, man. He's got like 8K subs. Let's see. Yep, I have no idea how to rate this guy's channel. But, figure I'll just plug this, though. So you guys can check this out really quick here. Whoa, do I have more? Okay, yeah. Link to that kitty pull request, please. Yeah, let me do that first. And yeah, if you're more knowledgeable than it to me, I saw this once, and here's the thing: this was not a good enough answer for me. That's it. You know, and I don't like opt-out network connections. I could be wrong, but yeah, you were supposed to be the chosen one, right? Exactly. Not a fan of that. There's the, hopefully that link got through. I don't know if you can send links or whatever. Also, let me send a link here to this guy's thing. I have no idea how to raid things. I'll try to figure it out in the future, but I am going to be ending the stream soon. I'm going to start using polls and things too. I got to like use more of these things, whatever they are. But yeah, check out this guy's stream. He's, I guess, a relatively newer tech channel here, doing Scala stuff. Hopefully using Vim. It looks like he's got this VS Code situation over here, so we're not happy about that. But yeah, I like people that actually are making channels and stuff like that. I like when people have something interesting to do, like, and then they build websites and channels and all different kinds of things around it. I don't know. It's just kind of nice. But all right, in the future, I will figure out how to rate other people's streams. So whenever I end my stream, I can just find someone, whoever shows up in my chat or whatever, and I can just send them there. But okay, I am going to be ending the stream there, and I will be streaming tomorrow. And thanks to Dev Inside You, there will be a face cam stream at some point. Thanks for sticking through this entire kind of ADD-ridden chat here, or video or stream or whatever, but I haven't streamed in a while, and there's just kind of a lot of things I wanted to talk about. So only the first half of this video is probably going to be useful to the people who showed up here for winbar. The rest of it is, I don't even know. But all right, I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, but at least by